AITA for a pose I did in front of boyfriend's family, friends. I, 24F, was a gymnast in college, and I've gotten used to that being a topic of discussion when around new people. A few days ago, I was hanging out by the pool with my boyfriend, some of his friends and family, and one of his cousins asked me if I could still do all the moves and stretches. I played along, put down my drink and did a standing split, lifting my leg and holding it behind my head. It was a seemingly normal cute moment, whatever. People clapped, we laughed, moved in. Anyway, my boyfriend's sister mentioned to me Thatch thought it was an inappropriate thing for me Toto in that setting. She said it was suggestive, Toto that in a bikini in front of a mixed audience. I told her I didn't agree, it was a very gymnasts and even yoga pose, just all in good fun. Now I'm getting the cold shoulder. AITA? Was I being naive? AITA for kicking a 6-year-old off my Switch account. A couple of months ago my mom bought a Nintendo Switch to play at her place. To be nice, I logged my account into her Switch so she can play the games I have purchased. I buy all of my games online because I don't have room to keep physical copies of games. This means she has a huge selection of games to choose from. Tonight, my partner, 26F, and I, 25M, are sitting at home playing Mario Kart 8 on my Nintendo Switch. My existing Joy-Cons had really bad thumbstick drift, so I decided to buy a new pair this morning. All we've been wanting to do since we got home is jump on and play with my new controllers. We have been playing for a while when all of a sudden an error message comes up on my screen reading, "Someone else is playing on your Switch online account, so you cannot access this content. Please contact Nintendo support if this is not you." Naturally, I thought to myself, oh, my mum must be trying to play on her Switch. I'll just text her to hop off since my partner and I have been looking forward to playing all night. Then she sent me a text saying that her and her friend are having a few drinks and her friend's 6-year-old child wanted to play. I said to her that my partner and I have been looking forward to playing with my Switch all day, so if she could hop off while we were playing. She then immediately started an argument, making me feel bad for kicking the kid off of the Switch. They wanted to distract him while they had fun drinking. I explained to my mum that there was plenty of other ways to distract the child, like putting on a movie. My partner and I really wanted to play and the child kept kicking us off the Switch account. I then jumped into my account and logged my account off their Switch so that I could play my games in peace. Since I logged them out, there was nothing they could play, as to log back into my Switch they would have to have my phone for two-factor identification. This started World War III, with my mum's neighbor Evan getting involved by sending a message asking me to hop off so that her kid could be distracted while they have their fun. Am I an AmItheAsshole for kicking the kid off my Switch account that I paid for so my partner and I could play them? AITA for not helping my sister watch my nephew during a flight delay? Ray, 25F, and I, 23F, grew up in NYC. Our parents own a vacation home. When I moved out, they decided to move there permanently. They've only been back once, so I recently decided to visit them. Mom and Ray were talking and my plans came up. She called and asked why I didn't tell her I was planning to go to Cali. I said it had nothing with her, so why would I have to tell her anything? She said it made no sense for us to do separate trips when we could just go together. I said she's acting extremely entitled to something she had no parts in and I'm not obligated to include her in every plan I make. She said she just wants our parents to meet her son. I said he's like 5 months, you had plenty of time to take him if it was important. Then she cried to Mom. Ma said it was a good idea. I said if Ray cared so much she would have planned to see them on her own. She told me she really needs this. I told Ray if she comes she can't ask me for him not helping with her kid, act like I'm not event here. The day came and our connecting flight was delayed, so we had to stay the night. I was trying to fall asleep. She asked me if I was really going to sleep. I was annoyed. I said, if you leave me TF alone. Later she asked me to watch the baby. I said just hold him and go to sleep. She was scared someone would snatch him while she slept. I said she's FKN crazy and no one wants her kid. She said she was exhausted and had been drinking energy drinks all night, but she was crashing and tried to put him in my arms again. I said, this is exactly why you should have just stayed TF at home. I told you from jump I'm not doing hit. You already forced your way here, now you're just gonna have to figure it out. She said, seriously? I'm FKN exhausted, I barely even keep my eyes open. I said, then go to sleep, and closed my eyes. She knew what the terms were. We made it there, but later Mom asked if she really raised me to be so cold towards my sister. She told me she had broken down and had a mental meltdown. I said I love my sister, but she should grow up and stop being so dramatic about a situation she put herself in. She said it wouldn't have hurt to help her even just a little. I told her I didn't help her make the baby and she should have known something could go wrong when traveling. We got back a week ago and haven't spoken to each other at all, but she texted me today how hurt she was and she feels like I don't care about her or my nephew at all. I told her she knew what she was getting into when she begged to come and imposed on my trip. She said she thought I would have changed my mind when I realized we would have to sleep in the airport and that she would have done it for me. I said, "Your kid. Your responsibility. I might be willing to just apologize to shut her up if people say I'm the AITA for refusing to financially help my estranged twin. I, 30F, am estranged from my twin, also 30F, because she objects to my working as a cam girl, and even though I have never done anything inappropriate. I'm very unassuming. I look like a girl next door so people won't know unless I tell them. Around her kids, 12M, 9F, 5 meters, because of my job, citing I'd be a bad influence, even though I would have completely kept my mouth shut about my job. It hurt that I was denied a relationship with my nibblings, but there was nothing I could do. Anyway, she's a single mom, the youngest has cancer. His father is not in the picture, although he pays child support. It's very little because he doesn't make much. And the bills have gone through the roof. Now her landlord is threatening to begin the eviction process as she's very behind on her rent and other bills. She contacted me after not speaking to me for years and begged me to borrow money. I said, "You do realize this money would come from my camming J.O. Bright? The one you estranged with me over and wouldn't let me have a relationship with your kids?" She said, "I know, and I don't need this right now and desperate and need help. He's your nephew. Our parents are living on Social Security and cannot afford to financially help, but they do babysit the 2 older ones frequently. My husband and I do well financially so we could afford it." I told her, "You disown me as your sister, and since you're not my sister, he can't be my nephew. Disowning your family is a permanent decision. Andy wouldn't want you having money from a sinful source as you put it." AITA. Info. Update. We are fraternal twins, not identical. While we bear some resemblance, much like how someone resembles an aunt, uncle, cousin, parents, or sibling who's not a twin, to each other we are very easily able to be told apart from one another. AITA for wanting my husband to attend my sister's wedding. I've been married to my husband, Ford, for almost a year. 6 to 7 years ago, Ford's family went through a major tragedy before we started dating, in which he lost 5 extended family members. He's pretty sensitive about it, and usually spends time that day, reflecting, and visits his mom. I'm very close to my sister. She's getting married later this year and I'm Mo. Her wedding date, however, falls on this tragedy date. Ford is absolutely refusing to attend. I've tried to explain it to him, but he doesn't want to hear it and said I was being selfish expecting him to go. I replied this is his sister-in-law's wedding and everyone's going to ask where my husband is. He's not willing to compromise and he's the one acting selfishly here. AITA? AITA for dropping my sister-in-law at a bus stop because she would not stop backseat driving? My sister-in-law is from another state and lost her driver's license for reckless driving. I was driving her on some errands as a favor. She thinks that she discovered Google Maps for some reason, had it on and insisted on giving me directions the entire way. I have driven in this area hundreds of times. I did not need directions. Plus, the directions she was giving me were mostly. She also commented on my driving habits, which seemed ironic, since I have never had an at-fault accident and she lost her license. She became angry when I ignored her directions and advice and I thought that she reached for the steering wheel a few times. In fairness, she did not actually grab the steering wheel, but it was enough to scare me. I pulled off at a ride, gave her my bus pass. It had enough on it to get her home, and said, "Get out, take bus number 37, get off on stop number XXXXXX. I left her at the stop and drove home. That entire side of the family is now angry with me. My wife was a bit upset, but she calmed down after I explained it. She knows her sister well. She thought I should have warned her before her at the bus stop, but thought that my sister might have eventually grabbed the steering wheel. I am the AmItheAsshole? AITA for implementing a pessimism tax? I, 35M, am a very cheerful person by nature. I went through a lot of hit in life, and I struggled a lot, but throughout it all, I managed to keep an event temperament. I am an optimist by nature, and I always try to maintain a cheerful and bright outlook on life. My wife, 34F, is the opposite. She tends to get angry easily, and is more cynical and jaded than me. We get along well for the most part, but she tends to always predict the worst. She always thinks about things that could go wrong, and never really appreciates what we have. The problem is, as my kids are growing up, they are getting imbibed with her energy. They are starting to become incredibly cynical, with dour pronouncements on employment and the economy, constantly trying to bring up incredibly depressing news. They seem to enjoy talking about corruption and downfall, and the bad things about our life, and society in general. I read about some scientist who discovered that if you move your face into a smile, like hold that expression, that muscle movement actually has an impact on your mood, and you become happier. Month, I decided to put this in practice. For every single negative or depressing thing they say, I take away $1 from my kids' allowances. They begrudgingly went along with it at first, but now they are getting really annoyed at me, and everyone is calling me an awe for this. I don't understand what's so wrong about trying to keep my family from devolving into miserable people who see negativity and evil all around them, but my family says that I am being controlling. AITA?